has to do with the basic issue of homelessness. These are people that are largely misunderstood. They don't really belong to society in many different ways. You know, they have no home, they have no kind of essential being and place in society because of that.
In Broward County, the last point-in-time count, which happens in January, there are approximately 2,900 homeless individuals. Now, some of them are sheltered, some of them were here in our program or that throughout the county. Some of them were what they would classify as couch surfing, going from a friend to a friend to a friend, but have been listed as part of the homeless count. Back in the late 80s, early 90s, there was a lot of problems with homelessness throughout the downtown area. There were some legal decisions that were made in the state courts and then ultimately in the national courts that provided for safe zones for the homeless. We opened up on February 1st, 1999, a 57,000 square foot facility that houses 200 men, women, and families.
I started working at the Museum of Art in Fort Lauderdale, and that's right next to the Broward County Main Library, and there were, over 1,000 people there who had been displaced, who were homeless, who were looking for social services that they had a lot of at that site at that point. This was, it seemed like a really, really big issue, so I wanted to put some thought into addressing it, and I approached the museum about basically going after some grants that had to do with social services and art as activism, and wrote a grant for this project, and it got accepted. We initially went after a grant with Funding Arts Broward, which is an organization in Broward County that serves to promote and cultivate the arts. And that was through a grant that they received from the Knight Foundation. So both of them are our sponsors, as well as the Community Foundation of Broward, who has been very generous as well in supporting the project. And everyone involved, all of the grantors are really behind it and really interested to see what kind of effect it can have on the issues of homelessness in Broward, as well as the arts, and basically how the arts and social issues can merge together and then, be exhibited for everyone else to see. I selected several artists who I thought definitely had a background in social activism as well as art as activism. Like their personal lives and their professional work both have to do with a lot of social issues.
I was approached by Luke Jenkins to figure out a workshop that would engage the homeless community in Broward. Specifically, he was thinking that it would be some sort of healing process. So since both of my parents are psychologists, I'm really comfortable working with ways of releasing and new experiments for psychological healing.
Well, I've worked with the homeless and groups of homeless and taught at homeless shelters before. I just feel like these are groups of people that are usually very easily forgotten, and as a society in this country, unless you have money, you don't have power.
And whenever projects like this happen, to me, it's an opportunity. I look at them as a chance to go back to this sort of teaching that I enjoy a lot. With a shelter here in Miami called the Lotus Shelter, we created animal skin rugs that are made out of stuffed animals, teddy bears that we take apart, and I puzzle them into one big rug.
The artists are going to the Broward Partnership for the homeless shelter, and they're going to basically propose their workshops to the clients there. There are about 250 people there at any given time, and whoever is interested in following their workshops can.
For the workshop, it would be a few different film industry types of skills that can be learned, like anything from costuming to storyboarding out what a video would be, and then to have some sort of dream and ideal environment and what each person sees that being, and then would be able to create it in a video. So it's a place of belonging, what's the ideal place to belong, and then what is the actual place that we belong, and if those match, what each person's take on it is, and I'm excited to see what happens.
I will be working with guests and teaching workshops on sound art. I find that when you're homeless, a lot of ways you lose your voice and you learn to become invisible. And so I really wanted to choose a medium that would empower the guests at the shelter. So through these sound art workshops, they are going to create what I'm calling sound portraits. So each guest at the workshop will create their own individual sound portrait, and it's a way to empower them and give them this kind of beautiful voice.
For concerning belonging, I am bringing one of the bodies of work that I've been working for the last almost 2 years. It's called New Landscapes, and I thought it would be interesting to bring this, considering that the topic is homelessness. New Landscapes is a body of work where I work with maps and globes and different territories, different expressions that we have created and we have crafted to mark our lands and our planet. What I do with these surfaces is I erase them, I sand them away. And in this erosion, the lines and the names disappear. Most of the times there are still color marks where you can still see where the blue was or the mountains were, but mainly the names and the lines disappear. And I thought this would be an interesting topic to bring to these people that are somehow displaced.
In the meantime, at the museum, the artists are going to also be doing a residency program, basically working on their own art, dealing with these issues, issues of homelessness and belonging.
It gives them a voice. It gives them an opportunity to express themselves in different ways. So many times people are out there, there's no one there, there's no support group for them. This can be part of their support group. It's their way of dealing with what's going on in their life in a different way, expressing themselves more than just verbal action. So they can come out here, they can discuss in their own mind and with others through artwork.
Basically, my hope is that the project will have a pretty direct influence on the clients, the homeless people at the shelter that are a part of it. And it could be anywhere from giving them a better understanding of where they are through the questions that the artists are asking in the workshops and the reflection periods that are going to be happening in the workshops as well. That's a really big part of the process for each artist, is not only asking questions and asking them to get creative, but also to reflect on the type of ideas that they're dealing with as a group and then personally as well. I'm not saying that we're trying to solve homelessness for every person in Broward County, but we wanted to start there and see where we could take it in a very local downtown Fort Lauderdale sense.